have 20 OWASP guys having a beer in their room, right? Instead of being together or talking, or even like from a project management point of view, it's so inefficient. Because ideas come when two guys get together and they agree to work on something and it works. So it's almost like it's not efficient for OWASP to have these conferences where we don't really swap ideas. Like the only time we get to talk was like that 1 hour yesterday, which was like rushed, where we should be having time after time after time after time to debate the ideas, to brainstorm, to come up what we need to do. Because the reality is that we have the money. Right? That is the bottom line. We don't have a huge amount of money, but we have money. So the question is that what do we do with it? What is the most cost-effective way to add value to our members? So the summit for me is the place to do it. And okay, the venue is good. And basically, one of the key messages that I think we need to pass, especially because we are at the business track now, is that our conferences are a great way to see the latest research, are a great way to meet great speakers, to hire great talent, to find good jobs. And in some ways, we created a monster, right? Because we actually created now the best web application security conference in the world. So, we can't really, now slap on, like 40 presentations on top of it on OWASP topics. It just wouldn't work. And also, like, it wouldn't be fair. Right? It's not fair to have an OWASP project over there competing, with a top class, presenter downstairs. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go there, but it just becomes a bit of a mess. And also, like, I like the fact that I have a place for our talent to shine. Like for me, my most rewarding things of the SOC and the SPOC and everything is the fact that I could say that I already found a bunch of talent for OWASP that would have never occurred if we didn't have those programs. And they usually are, the kind of proposals that are not that weak, or like a typical example, right? Some guy sends me an email when I send that, hey guys, where are the freaking courses? Send me an email, says, what about SU Linux? Okay, can we do that? And it's one of those that, it's almost like you might go, what the fuck? Right? But then I said, okay, give it the web flair, I know it's very important. So the guy comes probably with the most complete, description of the course, full curriculum, got the PDF, got the VM. It's like it's our best trainer so far. And it's one of those things that it just appears if you just let the guys go, like the guy who did the mod security, the translation project, all projects that we like, have a go. And then the summit represents a great opportunity to pick out the guys who really deliver and give them harder challenges, right? So we know we should be putting, Leonardo, Juan, Sebastian, it's like 5 guys together and saying, here's a project for you, right? Can you do that? Can you organize yourselves? And what do you need? And the summit is the place to do that. So the question is, how do we sell that in some ways internally, but also how we sell that externally? Because remember that if we have these big problems, or if you have these super teams that can go after these problems, we need the problems to solve. And in some ways, the problems to solve should come from the business community, which I don't think there is enough representation at OWASP. Because remember that we're sitting in a very interesting place because we have financial resources, we have human resources, we have talent, we have time, right? If you think from a global point of view, right? But we don't really have a vision, right? We don't really have focus. We don't have like 10 companies from a sector saying, I want this. The 5 things or the 2 things that I really want, right, that nobody's giving to me is this and this. And like I think it was Leonardo, we're talking about the web GOAT deployment, right, across, or it was you, somebody, like talking about the whole idea of web GOAT deployment across an organization. Well, that's a very good idea, Juan, sorry, right? And it's like, we should do that, and that's what a client would go.
For the project selection, can you use a system of bounties? I mean, I've seen other open source projects that let the members decide what the direction could be, what is the interest. So let the member contribute like a bounty, let's say $100.
Yeah. Whoa.
I'm involved in an open source project, and I would love to sponsor this way.
Well, we see the thing is that we already done that. Or put it this way, we've tried to do that, but not very successfully. So the way, for example, a good example of we did exactly that was last year we came up with an idea, which makes a lot of sense, to say our members, you can allocate your sponsorship money to projects, and we can give you recognition, and you can work directly with the projects. And that worked a little bit, and in some ways some vendors did that. It was pretty cool. Actually, you had like a web code scanning company sponsoring a benchmarking tool that in some ways could make them look pretty bad. It was quite interesting, the dynamics of it. But I think what we don't have yet, and I would like to achieve partially that in Portugal, is we don't have that channel where the business community can say that. See? So what you want is to be able to grab 10 companies or 5 companies or 5 types of users. Because think about it, right? Even if it's a vendor of a scanner, right? They still do software. So there is a layer of that company who doesn't care about whatever they're selling, but cares about doing secure software. So what we need to do is to have a channel for those guys to tell OWASP exactly that. And they have a bounty because we can use their membership money. But also I think they have something even more important. Because what they do have is they can look into our developers in the eyes and says, you do something, I'll use it. And that is really valuable, right? It's really valuable that it's like, suddenly you have this guy here, like my example, I developed what I think is one of the best report generation tools today. I did it for a client and I released it. That's before I did with the Ounce. But I released it open source, that client still uses it and nobody else uses it. So I would love to have 5 companies who says, I want to use that, my teams are ready for it, we'll put in the resources, what we need you to do is this, 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 this. If you do that, we'll use it. And that actually what it means is that those projects will be way much more focused because they know that if they deliver this, then they get that usage. And in OWASP, we have that. That's what's crazy is that we actually are in the middle of that kind of massive distribution. So like, think about like the OWASP top 10. We have this idea of having maybe an advisory board. And part of the deal of that is company who says, we will publicly support it. We will publicly say, that's what we do. So suddenly like you have, let's say the new OWASP top 10, when it comes out, is immediately sponsored and immediately has the clout of XYZ types of companies and governments. But so here's the deal. How do we do that? Well, we need to attract those guys to Portugal. So in some ways, like the challenge that we have from a message point of view is how do we convince those members? And by the way, we're giving a VIP pass, which is like the accommodation and the thing except and training except the flight to our members. So we're already going to have some of our non-vendor and maybe vendor members going there. So the challenge now is how do we create a model and a structure that actually will get them to feel like it's worth doing something about it, then documenting their ideas and then telling us what they want us to do. And the problem with that is that's hard work. It's very hard work to come up with a decent request. It's very easy to say, this sucks. But it's very hard work to say, well, I need this in this way, then in that format, and if you can give me this, I will use it that and that way.
Wouldn't it be smart to take everybody's ideas from the summit and then make that part of Winter of Code and say who wants to participate in this project because this is what this customer wants, right? Because if you're going to, in order to get all the information that you need, you're going to have to partner with companies like Flawless, White Hat, Web Inspect, AppScan, all of that, and see what, just to capture the information.